位于南加州尔湾的 Regulus 跆拳道学校自2021年创办以来，致力于为不同年龄层的学生提供丰富多彩的课后班后体能活动。学校创办人都是自幼习武、被韩国跆拳道协会认证的资深黑带教师。天天话题节目日前就有幸对创始人之一的 Master Alfred Reed 进行了网络专访，不如就一起来听听他怎么说。Mastery, hi, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Um, I couldn't emphasize this enough that uh, kids today they need to play some sort of sports, and I think Taekwondo is very popular these days, or some sort of martial arts very popular these days, and Taekwondo is definitely one of them. Can you tell me about why it's so fun for kids to practice Taekwondo?
Yes, that's a great question. I think that a lot of parents these days are looking for different methods, different avenues for the children to basically expend their energy, use their energy. So they have a lot of energy at school. After school, they come home and they still have a lot of energy. So sometimes when they're studying at school all day for many hours, they're coming home. A lot of that energy doesn't get released. So we've seen a lot of studies where a lot of therapists are using and prescribing more exercise and more movement methods to go ahead and help with students and kids, young kids that have a lot of energy. And you could find that type of energy in any kind of sports, basketball, baseball, soccer, volleyball, anything like that. But these days, especially around our neighborhood, our city of Irvine, there are a lot of students that really enjoy Taekwondo and martial arts because it gives them a way to follow structured programs, but it gives them a way to express themselves as well. Some students are very shy when they come in and they start our program, and some students are very, very energetic, very, very loud. So we give them the chance to go ahead and use their own, body and their own energy to go ahead and make sure we don't pressure them into doing something they don't want to do, but we go ahead and show them these are our Taekwondo techniques. This is how you can do it. Now go ahead and try it. So now we're giving them some instruction, but also at the end a lot of freedom. And I think a lot of kids like that. I think a lot of parents like to see that their children are enjoying, certain types of physical programs. So especially around here, our community, it's very, very popular.
Mhm. I know you guys are located in Southern California in Irvine. Can you tell us more about how is and when is Regulus founded and how did it all begin in the beginning?
Yes, Regulus started here in Irvine, California, in 2021. We were still in the middle of the pandemic, and Master Yunji Chang and I are the owners and operators of Regulus, and we started back in 2021 in July here in Irvine. Yun and I actually knew each other. We used to work together at another martial arts studio in Chicago for about 4 years, and I moved back in 2018 to Southern California, and then Master Yun moved back in 2019. And we've always talked about how we would go ahead and maybe do things a little differently if we owned our own studio. So we had a very good mindset. We had a good connection. So we started Regulus Taekwondo here in Irvine, and it's been almost 4 years now. And we now have three full-time masters and two instructors and one junior instructor, high school junior instructor here. And we are staffed with two locations right now.
And you mentioned there are so many masters and instructors. Can you just perhaps introduce them a little bit? I know you and Master Yun uh, are the founders and started all of this.
Yes, Master Yun, she is originally from South Korea. She graduated at Kyunghee University with a major in physical education and taekwondo. She immigrated here to America about 15 years ago. I was born here in America. I started my Taekwondo training when I was 9 years old. So it's been many, many, many years since I've been training.
Talking about
Master,
profession.
yes, sir. Yes, luckily I was able to turn it into a profession. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Yes. Master Yoon has been training herself since she was 5 years old. So, along with that, Master Kim, who was also in Chicago, he joined us here about 2.5 years ago. He was born in South Korea, but he actually went to the University of Beijing
Mm-hmm.
and graduated with a international business degree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he has actually been training Taekwondo since he was young as well. So all three of our masters, we have made this our profession. We are fifth and sixth degree black belts through Kukiwon. So we are certified instructors. And again, we've just had many different aspects of our training. Master Kim specialized in sparring. That is the Olympic style sparring that they show on TV during
Mm-hmm.
the Olympics. Master Yoon is our coach for Pumse. That is our forms competition and also our demo team director. And my specialty is the self-defense aspect of our martial arts program.
You mentioned the each master has a different specialties. I was wondering, and then you guys are all very experienced black belt. Forgive me, I'm not really familiar with the terms. So can you tell us, the audience, how hard is it for you guys to achieve where you are today since the beginning?
Yes. So, as an example, most kids will start at maybe 7 or 8 years old, um, and they will train for an average of 2, 3, or 4 years. So every martial arts studio is different. Even though it could be Taekwondo, they're teaching the same style of Taekwondo. Every school is a little different, but like I received my black belt, my first degree black belt at the age of 14. So I started when I was 9, and I had to train for about 5 years in order to test for my first degree black belt. And then from there, according to our association that we work with in South Korea, the first degree black belt has a certain amount of time to train before they can qualify for the second degree testing. So the first degree black belt must train for 1 year and a half, and then they're eligible to test for the second degree. And then the second degree must train for about 2 to 3 years before they're eligible to test for their third degree black belt. So if you just start compounding all those years together, if you start when you're young, it might take more than 12 years to, get to a fourth degree black belt level.
Mhm.
And usually after the fourth degree and you are certified as an instructor, they're given the title of master at fourth or fifth degree black belt.
And just I'm counting here, so I'm thinking maybe, if you start at 5 and 6 and then 12 here, that's like almost, 18 years old, 17 years old. Um, in your experience, how many of the students started at that young age actually make it through into like you know, maybe not instructor, but like a black belt level?
Yes, that's a great question. I actually remind my students, especially my black belts, um, the day of the testing, we go ahead and let them know. Do you all remember how many of your friends started with you? And a lot of them will say, "Oh, yes, they remember maybe 10 of their friends. But out of the 10, the ones that make it to black belt testing, the first degree black belt testing, the very first black belt testing, maybe only three. Very, very low percentage. 30% might actually stay with it, continue training until they get their black belt level right over there. So that is a big issue because when the students are training, we remind them about discipline. We remind them about uh, trying to make sure that they finish what they start. So the percentage is very low because a lot of kids do quit. But then after that, the average students that make it to the second degree get smaller and smaller. So out of those three black belts that go ahead and train, maybe only two might get to second degree. And then from there, second degree to third degree, there possibly might be one right in there. So it is a long process, especially here in America, because the kids do start young, but it is something that these parents, families, and the kids have to persevere through.
Hmm.
Soccer every year, maybe 3 months, and then they don't see their soccer coach for another 9 months.
Hmm.
Baseball too. Baseball season is about 4 or 5 months, and any other sport, there's usually a season. But Taekwondo programs are done year round. So as they continue to keep training, if they're consistent, then they can go ahead and qualify as far as training to get to that black belt level and qualify for the next level of second degree and then third degree and fourth degree. In Korea, it's quite different because I believe Master Yoon and Master Kim, both as they graduated from university, they continued their emphasis and their concentration in Taekwondo. So their training continued on, whereas everybody usually after high school will go off to college and then their training stops here in America. But Master Kim and I are fifth degree black belts. Master Yoon is a sixth degree black belt. So she has continued on with her training and her certifications as well. So um, for the most part, the average percentage gets smaller and smaller as they try to reach up to a higher level.
Wow, you just mentioned like you're fifth level and then she's sixth level.
Yes, she's very dangerous.
I'm calculating the years that you need to spend in this commitment. Talking about
Yes.
commitments, I was wondering, uh, I've been to your facility, I've been to your school multiple times. I see that the kids is not only committed and they're having fun, but they're also very disciplined. And you mentioned discipline before as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about discipline? Because I know Taekwondo is not just about technique, not about punching, kicking. It's more about self-discipline, right?
Yes, self-discipline is the key word. Discipline is not done by us. We do not discipline the kids. The parents discipline the kids.
Yes.
And I remind the parents, a lot of parents, they come in and they say, "Oh, we want you to discipline our child. We want our child to, learn about discipline." And then I remind them, jokingly that I am not the father. They are the parents. They discipline their children at home. What we try to teach them is self-discipline. So the way I try to easily explain that to our students is having to do something before your parents tell you to do it. So you're supposed to go ahead and finish your homework before dinner or before you play your games. You know that. All the children know that there are rules at home. Everybody knows what the rules are. If you're self-disciplined, you will tell yourself, before I grab my iPad, before I do anything after school, when I come home, I need to finish my homework first so that I can move on to the other activities that we do as a family. And we teach them that through um, martial arts training. And the traditional style of Taekwondo that we teach, we go ahead and show them the importance of movement, control, and power. But if we can kind of use those same properties of mainly control in their everyday lives, at school, at home, then they will slowly start learning about self-discipline. Oh, I remember my mom did not yell at me 5 times this week to go ahead and finish my homework. She only reminded me one time. So then that becomes self-discipline. And then once the students can do that, then we believe and we've seen that a lot of the other aspects in their lives become disciplined as well. But not just because we are telling them what to do or the parents are telling them what to do, but the students are understanding, oh, it's actually a good thing if you have self-discipline. And then once they see the positive aspects of self-discipline, we start working on their physical skill level. Because a lot of these students are very young, 6, 7, 8 years old. They don't have a lot of muscle. They cannot do a real push-up, a regular push-up. they might not be able to kick very high. But after a couple of years of training, once the self-discipline kicks in, we've seen it in a lot of our students where they are showing interest and they're getting up to black belt level. Once they reach that black belt level, they understand, wow, I achieved a very, very big goal. And then suddenly their work ethic goes really, really high. So we've seen that happen before, and that's why we emphasize the self-discipline. And rather than yelling at them or telling them what to do, we give them that choice. We give them that option. You can do this, and you could get better, or you could not practice, and then everyone else is going to get better than you. So we try to emphasize it in that way. And again, self-discipline is the key.
Hmm. And I just thought of a question that I know a lot of the parents will be with me when I ask you this, that we know there has always been some sort of bullying or fighting inside the school or out on the street when the young kids on their own. And then not just in America, everywhere in the world, I know a lot of the parents is sending their kids, especially young girls, to your school to learn Taekwondo is based on, she or he can defend themselves. What do you say to those parents? Like, what can you teach the kids to actually put the technique or the self-defense part into actions?
Yes, that's a very important issue that a lot of the parents do bring to us. There have been situations where we do hear that our students were involved in a fight or maybe a bullying case at school. That is a very tricky line. It's a very gray line that I think a lot of martial arts masters have to really go over because there is a possibility of if you a possibility of teaching a technique, let's say a self-defense technique, to a young child. If we teach it to that young child and unfortunately, they don't have any control over their body yet. They might actually hurt the other person, even though that other person might be the bully. What we've been trying to do is slowly introduce our self-defense techniques by going over our basic, traditional martial arts techniques, such as blocking and footwork. Everybody kind of says, "Oh, I want to be like Jackie Chan. I
Yeah.
want to be like
Want to be the
Bruce Lee."
badass.
Yes,
Yes.
I want to be the best. I want to be able to, fight 10 people at the same time. I remind the parents as well. That's a movie. That's a movie, of course. And especially with the younger students, some of the parents come in, they say, "Oh, I want my child to defend themselves." And then I ask them, "Have they been bullied yet?" And they say, "No." And I think the parents are really worried that something might happen later in the future. So again, we don't teach fighting techniques. It's if you came into my studio and we were training in self-defense, we would be doing something different because we're both adults. With the children, we have to be very careful because, again, if we teach them a certain technique and they have no control over it yet, they could do a lot of damage or they could really hurt the other person. Again, even if they are the bully, even if they're getting attacked. So what we have done is when I was training when I was young in the 1980s and 90s, our master was very much on the other side. He was really, we were punching each other. It was very, 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 very rough. Back then, the rules were different. Society was different. The bullying level was different. So back then, there was a lot of physical training.
Mhm.
These days, there's not as much. But we try to rather than quickly going into boxing and wrestling on the floor, we try to slowly get them used to basic martial arts techniques, and then eventually go more into the realistic self-defense techniques.
Mhm. And lastly, I just want to ask Master Yi, have you ever, and this is the fun question, have you ever tried, in your experience, have you ever experienced that where your technique come into handy in real life, whether it's a competition, tournament, or actually on the street?
Yes, I won't tell you how many fights I've been in, but it's not a lot. It's not a lot. I have to admit it's you know I grew up very chubby when I was a young kid,
Hmm.
and my mom told me that that's why she put me into Taekwondo because she said I got bullied a lot at school. I don't remember very much about getting bullied that badly, but that is one of the main reasons why she put me in Taekwondo. So even after that, there were a couple of incidences in high school, and then there was one student. He was a friend. We knew each other. We were on the football team together. He came up to me during lunch, and he was much taller than me. He was much taller than me. And he says, "Oh, I heard you know martial arts. What can you do?" And then I looked at him. I said, I think is he challenging me? I don't know what's going on because up until then I've never experienced that.
Hmm.
And suddenly he grabbed my shoulders. He grabbed my shoulders, and he it looked like he was trying to either wrestle or throw me. So I felt like, oh my goodness, I'm about to be in a fight right now.
Hmm.
There weren't very many people around us. So when he tried to pick me up, after I landed, I actually swept his leg and I took him down to the floor. But I didn't slam him down to the floor because, again, the way we trained, I grabbed his shoulders underneath him. And instead of just letting him fall to the ground, I tripped him through him and then I slowly turned my body. So rather than me landing on top of his body on the floor, I said, I don't want to hurt him. I need to be careful. So again, the training kicked in, and rather than really, really possibly hurting him, because maybe he didn't know that I was about to throw him to the floor as well. I tried to make sure that we minimize our body being thrown to the floor right there. So that was my first experience in high school, and there was a situation later on after college. I think a lot of people may have had the same instance. We're at a club, we're dancing, we're having fun, our friends, a lot of people are drinking. And there was one situation where my other martial arts trainer taught me a self-defense technique. And again, it was very, very fast. And it wasn't to the point where the person had to go to the hospital, but because it was so crowded, we were able to go ahead and make sure that that attacker was subdued. And then our other friends came in, they understood what was going on. And then our whole group was able to go ahead and leave the club. But again, it wasn't because we were trying to, really cause malice or beat up the person. We just understood, okay, this person's about to attack us, our group as well. So we need to go ahead and take care of the situation very carefully.
Hmm.
So I believe a lot of the discipline that I've had through my martial arts training helped me because I think a lot of people might be able to lose their emotions in certain situations like that. And again, I was really, really trying to think of the group of people that were in our group, when we're in that club. So rather than trying to beat up the person in front of me, I said, okay, we need to put this person off to the side, and then we need to leave. So again, I think that's where the discipline and the training comes in.
Yes, sounds to me the self-discipline and then the emotional control, it really helps you throughout your life because you practice Taekwondo for so long. Um, Actually, that's my last question. Master Lee, how would you say to the parents who, especially they have a young boys, what's the benefit of practicing Taekwondo can help their children?
Especially with the younger boys or even girls that have a lot of energy. Um, the type of methods or therapies that all the different parents are trying with their kids. Um, I think that martial arts, a good Taekwondo program, a good martial arts program, can go ahead and supplement whatever therapy they're trying to work on with their kids, because again, they're using and expending a lot of energy. When all that energy is kept inside, that energy sometimes physically and then chemically can obviously go ahead and affect that child.
Makes you emotional. Yeah.
Very, very emotional. Yes, yes. So I think adults, we really understand as adults. You go to the gym, you exercise, you run. Afterwards, you feel really, really good
Mm-hmm.
because your chemicals have changed. Your body is, changing, and you exercise and you feel good. You release a lot of that energy over there. Um, with the kids, I think these days, especially after, having to stay indoors for almost 3 years during COVID, the younger kids right now do not understand or know how to express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand that, okay, I'm feeling very anxious. I feel like I have anxiety, but they might not understand what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've had students in the past where they come in and try our program, they get frustrated, they start crying, they get really, really angry. And then, we have to go ahead as a staff, have to go ahead and kind of change our game plan with that student specifically. So we're going to have to talk to them a little bit differently. But at the same time, remember that this student might be struggling, by struggling to express themselves, not necessarily an anger issue, but they have a lot of this energy. They're feeling nervous and they don't know what to do with it. So then they get very, very emotional.
Mm-hmm.
So by introducing to them a physical activity through martial arts and also emphasizing control, self-discipline, we're hoping that a lot of the students that do have a little bit of anxiety or may not have that control yet, that they're able to understand, oh, I feel that anxiety or I feel that nervousness. Oh, that kind of feels very emotional. I remember what we did in Taekwondo class. We were breathing, we were moving around a little bit, we're just kind of shaking it off a little bit and remembering, oh, this is an emotion. So I need to go ahead and work on controlling that. And we're hoping that happens. Will it take a week? No, it might take a year. It might take 2 years. We don't know. But what we try to offer is that physical activity to use that energy, and then our teachings, based on control and discipline, self-discipline. All right, would hope that that could go ahead and supplement what they're going to do in their normal lives right now. So some students go to therapy, some students go to other different activities. We're hoping that with the family activities, the school, and our martial arts program, they're able to work on controlling themselves a little bit better. So.
作为社区间首屈一指的跆拳道学习机构 Regulus Taekwondo 注重身体发育以及您的孩子将来可能受益的心理和生活技能，培养基本的良好习惯，尊重自己和他人，自我控制和自律是该计划的核心。有兴趣的观众朋友们千万不要错过。好了，今天节目时间差不多了，我们下期再见。
您正在收看的是凤凰卫视。